Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Les Steed.
I'm Marlon White.
And this is our guest,
Taiwo Omisore.
Taiwo, tell us about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Taiwo Omisore. I am a app developer from Southeast London. I've been working with apps for about the last 8 to 9 years. Always been interested in computers ever since a really young age. Together with my twin brother, we've always been kind of tinkering around with computers. He's been super artistic. I've been kind of the one programming, so we kind of make a really good team. But within apps specifically, I always think of the ideas and implement the codes to actually bring these ideas to life. I've made 6 apps by myself. I've made an app working with a different company, most of the apps on iOS, but I've also built apps for Android as well.
Great.
Yeah, because I was going to say, because when we did the prep for this, Marlon sent me over a load of list of games, and I've got an Android, and I was like, can't find any of them.
Yeah, a few of them have been delisted, so I need to. Yeah. So I think what they do is to help kind of preserve the integrity of the store. They ask developers to make sure that they continuously upload newer versions of existing apps, and I just took my eyes off the ball for the Android side of things, so they pulled it. I've got all the code ready to kind of re-implement, but I think it wouldn't just be a case of me just uploading those onto the Play Store. I think I would have to retinker, readjust, kind of make sure that the apps that I made a couple of years ago still work for devices today and operating systems today.
Is that easy to do, or is it sort of like a whole week's worth of headache?
Yeah.
It's a week's worth of headache.
Yeah, definitely. I think app development is never as simple as it seems. There's always kind of bugs and issues, but it's part of the fun. It's one of the reasons I really like it, the problem solving.
Sweet.
So, I don't know if you mentioned in that introduction, but you've just had an article with Apple.
Yeah.
And for anybody that's like listening, as soon as you open Apple Store, you just see a picture of your face right there. And I'm actually really proud because we go way back from you, probably about 8 years old.
Yes. Yeah.
And I was like, wow, somebody I know from my area, from my background, is actually doing big things. And so that's one of the reasons I wanted to reach out to you. But so how did actually, before we get into even all of that, let's go back through how you got into tech, really, how you got into being a developer.
Yeah, I wanted to know what your first code was. Do you remember it?
Yeah, that is, No, I think quite fondly about this, and thank you for such a lovely intro.
What made you do it?
Probably web, so looking at the early web development, so early to mid 90s. Flash games was probably the first.
I remember those.
My first foray into development, and it was just a case of getting a book from the library and coding. And I think I've always had an interest in how things work. So playing PC games or playing Nintendo or Sega games when I was a kid, I'd always be interested in how it actually works.
Right.
I was always compelled and amazed by these graphics, these sounds, these amazing stories that were on the screen, but how does it actually work? And then I took that to the next stage, and kind of just started building websites, and the ball just started rolling from there, really.
Sick. So, what do you think of? So what is your favorite game? Like growing up, favorite childhood game, and then favorite game now.
Yeah, I mean that's a really easy question. It's The Legend of Zelda, the Ocarina of Time on a Nintendo 64. I love that game so much. But more contemporary, I'd probably say Super Smash Bros. Ultimate on the Nintendo Switch, because I just play that game so much. It's a great kind of pick up and play game. It's not heavily story driven. It's just kind of like a game that anyone can pick. There's always characters that people can play. Something that your family members can play, your little cousin can play. Very accessible, really fun.
So I mean, is that kind of what kind of sits behind what you're doing with your? What's the kind of ethos behind your games at the moment?
Yeah, sure. I think for me, one of the most important things before I build a game is to make games that are fun, accessible.
It'd be shit if they weren't fun.
Yeah,
So I pick it up, it's like, oh no, now I'm depressed.
Yeah, no, definitely. I always like seeing a smile on someone's face when they play one of my apps. So I think just as a baseline, I like to make things that are fun, engaging, but also things that haven't been done. So even my first game, Spacebots, it's a cross between two arcade games, so Breakout and Arkanoid.
Yeah.
So, or like for people that might not know those games, like Brick Break. So you have a little paddle.
I played
and the
that
balls,
one, yeah. Just
the
played
balls hit bricks, and then you have to try and get rid of
It
as
gets
many
proper
bricks.
trippy.
Yeah. So I got two games that I really enjoyed and just spun it on its head. So there's a couple of different modes, and there's no bricks to break. So it's more about keeping the asteroids in place. So having a base is never a bad thing. So taking an idea from someone else or something that's well established, but I think making it your own. So someone picks it up and it's like, oh, that's the game that Ty made, or that's the game that X company has made, is always something that's really, really cool.
Is there like a legal factor in that? Do you have to like I don't know. I know that with music you have to pay royalties to somebody if you use their music. So what happens when you use somebody's game idea and combine two games?
Also, do you like take the code? Is there some sort of way to find the source code, and then you use that source code, and then you start playing with that until it does what you want it to do, and then that becomes your game? Is that how it works?
Most game developers will have private or closed source material, and there are some game developers who are completely open source, so you can see the code behind it. But for me, it's I draw inspiration. I'm not taking the idea. I think when you draw inspiration, it's from a legal point of view, it's completely okay, because like for example, a game like Super Mario or Sonic the Hedgehog, they're platformers. You know, you move a character over obstacles.
Right.
Like that can't be copywritten. But how do you take that concept of a platformer and make it fun? And the same with like a driving game or a shooting game or a puzzle game, all different categories. You know, Tetris has been, you know, cloned so many times, but how do you take that formula and make it unique?
So it's sort of like what they did with when Temple Run became like a big thing, and then now there's all sorts of different running games.
Exactly, the endless runner.
Scary.
The endless runner.
Yeah.
I hated it. It gave me anxiety. I was sitting there, I was like, no. Halfway through a training, I'm like absolutely jacked. Like, I can't do this anymore.
I think it'd be interesting to go over your background, because the whole being a developer just sounds like an alien concept to me. And I just think like, how does somebody get into it? Because I'm obviously reading your Apple article, and it says that you were a retail buyer, and then you taught yourself how to code in your spare time. So it'd be interesting to know what did you do to get into this?
Yeah, I think, to be honest, we live in a day and age where I truly believe that anyone can be a developer. I think patience is a really important trait to have, but also just creativity. So if you have an idea, there's nothing that can't be created in code. If you wanted to build a flight simulator for flights that are currently airborne for a particular airline, you could do that. You could tap into the API or an application programming interface and use that. And I think one of the coolest things about this day and age is how much information there is online to help you get started. So if you wanted to become a web developer or a mobile developer or a games developer, there's so much material online that you can just use for free.
When you say online, sorry to interrupt you. When you say online, like whereabouts would you recommend that people actually go looking? Because I mean, like like when people say, "Oh yeah, it's online," it's like it's like saying it's in the country. Somewhere.
No,
it's like, where's London? Fuck knows. It's somewhere in England.
Like in the library.
No.
Sit there with a librarian. Like I don't know. I don't know. We have several sections.
That's a great question. I think Stack Overflow, if you have any problems with your code, is a great website. But Free Code Camp is a brilliant website for people who want to get into code and don't really know where to start, because they have loads of tutorials, but also they break it down into really digestible chunks to kind of get concepts that might be very foreign and very confusing and puzzling, but in a way that is very easy to understand. for example, there's a concept within programming of arrays, and an array is a collection of information. So I might have an array of Beatles songs, and it might be from the album Please Please Me. So it's a collection of data. So every song from the album could be in this array. In my head, the way that I learned about arrays was like a filing cabinet. So you pull out a filing cabinet and you've got lots of information within the filing cabinet. So it's a way of breaking down something that's actually quite complicated into a digestible way that people can understand. So Free Code Camp is a great resource into getting to programming. But I think one of the biggest things is just to have fun. Like, when you take the seriousness out of it and you're just building stuff that you enjoy, or taking code that someone else has made and just changing it, that's the best way to learn. I think the way that I learn is just by building stuff. A lot of people get distracted, or what's the word that I'm looking for? I guess caught up in building a perfect product, when at the end of the day, you're doing this for you. You're just building something that you want to enjoy building. And when you do that, it doesn't even seem like you're working. You're just building something that you enjoy and you're having fun while doing it.
I think it's a really good way to approach anything that you could end up successful at. Because I know that, like, as long as that interest remains there, otherwise it becomes like a chore, and it's
exactly, 100%.
It's exhausting.
100%.
As opposed to sort of, and it's a bit like having a kid, and it's like, like, actually, no, it's not. It's nothing like having a kid. I'm going to shut up. No, but I wanted to ask you, because you said before about your brother. I don't know if you said it on the record, but on the record. Oof, look at us, we're the FBI. But no, you said before that your brother's a graphic designer. Does he do your graphic work for you, or do you work with him to do that and then give him a little kickback, maybe a few pints? Or,
So
like, pay him in pints. That's how I pay my brother.
He is an extremely talented artist, and I think I can draw a rough sketch of a character or a concept, and he just puts like a master stroke on it. So Spacebots, I had this idea for these cute, chubby little robot characters, and he took this idea and just perfected it. So it works really, really well as a creative effort and a creative team, that I can program these ideas and I can come up with the rough concepts, but he just adds that finishing touch to it.
Yeah, so he's responsible for all the formatting around it and sort of how it looks, visualizations, obviously, and then you've got the code behind it.
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds like the harder part.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I've got pretty shiny.
I've got the short straw.
How long does it take you to develop like a game from sort of the concept where you've got like, okay, I mean, for example, I know that the Spacebots one where you sort of match two and then you hit the other one. Because I mean, like, that one's idiot proof because I've just played it now, and I couldn't get it at first. And Marlon's like, you're not supposed to. I was like, why does it keep breaking?
I'll be honest, I didn't get it at first, and then
I mean, I want to say idiot proof, but then both of us have just confessed the fact that we didn't get it. Like, it's like, oh, we do not.
I didn't get it first. But then yesterday I was playing it. I was playing it yesterday, and I got it, and I was like, okay. Then I showed him today. And I was able to tell him, like, you have to match all of them together.
Yeah, and then you do the last one, and I was like, I couldn't work out. I kept losing because I refused to read any instructions. Like, I absolutely refused to. But it's good fun though. It's like, I like the fact that your games are quite simple. Do you think simplicity has a driving factor in the way you do it, or is it that you just haven't got to the stage as a developer where you can actually create something as sophisticated as, say, Assassin's Creed?
Yeah, no, that is a great question. I think simplicity is really key. Like, I always kind of think to myself, can my parents play this game? But also, can a small child who maybe has got their first piece of technology, that has browsed the App Store, that might see some of my games, can they also enjoy it? So that kind of wide spectrum. And simple's always just great. I think when you have something that you don't have to have a 400-page manual to understand, is always great. Like you said earlier, why bother with instructions? If you can just get something in your hands and just understand and learn how to play it by playing, that's the best way.
Intuitive.
Yeah, exactly. And you feel an accomplishment by learning how to play it just yourself. Yeah.
That sounds like good. I mean, I quite enjoy that concept, I think.
I think Chance is more frustrating. Like,
one
which
chance.
one's Chance?
The one with the math.
Oh, yeah, with the maths in it. Yeah, fuck you. Fuck you. I got to like level 14 and I was like, haha, I've done it. It's like, it's like 17 plus 422. And I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, why am I hurting myself like this? I was like, my brother does maths and he was like, I remember one time when he was little, so it's completely irrelevant. One time when he was little, the first time he ever got drunk, he woke up. He woke me up. He was like absolute floods of tears, and I was like, "What's wrong?" He goes, "I'm stupid." I'm like, "Why are you stupid?" And he's like, I don't know the square root of 4,283. I was like, "Oh, you need to. We're not getting you drunk again." Anyway, moving forward, yeah, he's gonna love that game. I'm gonna show him it later.
So I just want to double back quickly. So you went from being a retail buyer into like. Is this what you do full time in terms of app development? This is how you make a living?
No, I'm actually a solutions engineer. So a solutions engineer is kind of like a cross between a software engineer, but also someone who mediates issues with clients, publishers and customers. So
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's quite full on.
It sounds traumatic.
Yeah, I think it's the best of both worlds because I get to design software and amend software and fix problems, but also I have that personal relationship with loads of different people as well. So I think maybe if I was working solely in software development, I wouldn't see that more empathetic side. So I really enjoy it, and I like the fact that I can do all the software app stuff in my spare time because I love doing that.
So do you sometimes, like, when you're fixing I'm assuming that both of them are related to coding.
Yeah.
So when you're fixing some code, do you ever like have a little genius? Do you have like a little secret file on the side where you're like, I'm stealing that, putting that in there?
I think that if that isn't happening, then you're in the wrong job. I think I get brainwaves all the time. Like I'm constantly being inspired and looking at the way people. And that's one of the coolest things about software engineering. There's 1,000,001 ways to solve an issue. Like in one chance, the app, the whole premise is you can only play the app once. And that's an issue. Yeah.
I fucked up the first time.
I've had many emails from people who...
How do I play it twice? I've downloaded it and re-downloaded it. And now it's just being a dick.
Exactly.
I've got a new profile.
The amount of emails that I've got about it. But, I love getting those emails. And that is a problem in itself. How do I know that the user has played the app?
Right.
Let's say the user isn't connected to the internet. How am I supposed to make a check to a database to see if the user has played the app? So these, and there's a million ways that you can do it. And I think
that.
Exactly. There's so many ways to approach that. So that's one of the things that I really like about it.
Do you have any like sort of super fans who like email you constantly?
So one thing that is really cool, so Spacebots, there is someone who plays it every single day, which I think is just mind blowing, and
almost like therapeutic almost.
Yeah, I think it's really cool that I built something that someone uses every single day. In the sense that you have music apps or travel apps that people depend on every single day. I've made a piece of entertainment that someone uses every single day, which is in my head like mind-boggling.
Are they any good at it?
Yeah, got the high score.
Way too good at it.
Yeah, absolutely smashed my score. So yeah.
Oh, I bet you're pissed. Can you not like nip in there and artificially like one up him by one point just to piss him off?
I had thought about that, but the fact that I've probably played the games thousands of times and someone has just taken my score and absolutely decimated it.
Oh yeah, it got to feel a bit of shame for that.
Yeah, definitely. Beating at my own game, literally.
Oh, that's brilliant.
What I wanted to ask you is how does one go about getting an app on the App Store? How do you do that?
That is another brilliant question. I think so. Once you've compiled your application, you have done your research to make sure that there's no apps that are similar to it, and you thought of a great name that hasn't been taken. That's always like a really important detail to have as well, to make sure that that name is available. You can upload it onto the App Store, but what happens is there's a review process. So someone actually manually goes through your app to make sure that it's something that they want to put on the App Store.
Right.
So if there was any...
It's exhausting doing that. Many things all the time, really.
And I think they manually review thousands of apps every single week.
Wow,
and then
Jesus.
once that passes, once you've beta tested it, so you've shown it to friends and family, what do you think of this app? Checked if there's any bugs. There's no bugs. You've submitted it to either Apple or Google or Windows or Amazon to put on the App Store, and they have approved it. Then a couple of days later, it's on the App Store, and anyone from around the world can download it.
So, is there a different process between different app stores? Because also there's the Apple App Store, then there's the Play Store, and then is it Windows? You said as well.
Windows.
So there are different processes. Like, is some more strict than others?
Yes, 100%. So, kind of within the development community, many people will say that the Apple App Store is probably the most protective, and I think the quality of apps is really important. As a ecosystem, you don't want poor quality apps to be on the App Store because it harms your brand.
Right.
And Apple, they manually review every single app while other companies don't. So if you upload an app to the X Store, it's just uploaded straight away. There's no manual review process. So it does change platform to platform. And obviously that has an effect on when it can actually be uploaded, because some app stores you're able to upload and it's there within 20 minutes, and then some it will take a couple of days for it to be approved.
I want you to look. Like, what was your first app? First of all, that's one question. I want
So
to
how long did it take to develop compared to your latest one?
That is...
Sorry, jumping.
No,
I've been like, yeah. So like 2 questions. All right, I need to write one of them down.
Yeah. I'll go first. What was I saying?
How long? You said first.
Yeah, your first app. Think back to your first app. First of all, like, what was the process like? Second of all, how was the when you got it approved? How did that feel?
Yeah, that's a good one actually.
How did that feel?
It felt smashed.
It felt incredible. So the first app that I ever made and built is an app called Spacebots. So we've been talking about it quite a bit already. And the great thing about Spacebots is it's super simple. So I built this when I was working as a buyer, and I had a really long commute. So my commute was 3 hours every day, an hour and a half there, hour and a half back. And I slowly built this app back in 2012, and it was released in 2013, 2014.
So about a year and a half.
So it took a long time because I was doing it on this commute, and it was my first ever app, so I had no idea what I was doing.
I thought you just read the newspapers. You're sitting there developing a game. That's
Exactly.
fucking cool.
That's production.
Yeah.
Productivity.
It's like 50 Shades Grey, where she was writing it on her phone. I mean, you could tell she was fucking writing that thing on her phone. Jesus. Sorry.
No, it's quite right. And I used to go up to other commuters who obviously don't want anything to do with anyone. And
How did you not get stabbed with
London,
the
man. For anybody,
hello there, sir. Fuck off.
to cut you there quickly, for anybody listening across the world, Londoners, probably like New Yorkers, we don't like talking to people during our commute. We don't like talking to people generally.
Anyone makes eye contact with anyone else on the tube, even though it's packed.
Yeah,
it's physically impossible to not make eye contact with someone. It's a threat.
You automatically...
It's a threat, and you respond to it by killing them with kindness. Like, with an evil that will literally melt your mother.
Yeah, you automatically assume that you're going to be killed at that moment.
Yeah, honestly. Although the worst one's when you make eye contact with a girl, and it's like, I'm not a weirdo, I promise.
Go back to you now. Sorry about that.
So, yeah, I think it's always a thing. Like, I felt really nervous. I felt really scared. But I think one of the most...
get a stab jacket on, it's fine.
Yeah, no. I think it's just a case of, do you know what? This is so random and so off the cuff that people, I think, would maybe find it cool.
Yeah, so to go back from reading the Apple article, you wondering who to test this on.
Exactly.
And then during your journey, you were like, oh, I commute with the same people every day. Let me just go up and down the tube line, and I'll just ask people what they think of this app. So how did that go? What was the first person's reaction when you went to...
What was the general reaction?
When I take it that it was in the beta version, and
yes, exactly.
So first of all, I want to know, how does that process work? Is that already on the App Store, or do you have to have something special to have the beta version of that? How does that work?
Exactly, yeah, no. So when you're building an application, you can just deploy that application on your phone.
Right.
So you connect your phone to your computer via a cable, and you can just download that beta version onto your phone. And more recently, they have released a couple of over-the-air solutions. So now you can just send someone a link. But when I was building this app, there wasn't that option. So
good idea, actually.
so if friends wanted to test it, they would have to come to me with their phone, and I would have to deploy it.
Oh, so there's a link now you can send to people.
Wait, so you were like giving random strangers, like getting them to give you their phone?
No,
and then just
no,
giving them your
link
phone.
to links.
So-
I was going to say, how the hell? I'd never let someone do that. Like,
Were you giving them your phone?
random guy, give me your phone. I need to add something to it from my phone. Yeah, sure, virus it is. Like, no, you'll find my porn.
Exactly. So I would have to give people my phone.
That's a lot of trust.
It is a lot of trust.
Did
And I
anyone
think
nick it?
no, I think most people were just bewildered that I was saying,
Have the
hey,
audacity to talk to them.
Yeah.
exactly. First of all, having a conversation with them in the first place, and then the second thing, once I explain my situation that I'm building this game, would you be interested in playing it? I think people were just shocked.
No, it's quite a sweet thing though. It's a nice question to be asked. It's like your opinion matters.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think that's one of the cool things, because most of the people that I spoke to, they didn't game on their phone. So the responses that I was getting was like of your average person, your average consumer, not someone who knows how to control a video game, just like some random person who, could be, Annette, who works in financing, who might not game in her spare time, or, Jim in, sales, who is not a gamer, but it gives you a really nice holistic view of what the average person thinks of your application. And what I really thought was really nice was people were really honest. People were like, it's really confusing. I can't read the text. What am I supposed to do? I don't like the sounds. Whatever it was.
Why can't I eat this?
People were very honest. People were really honest, and would say, how they felt.
I just think back to that, and I don't know how I would react if you came up, if I didn't know you obviously, and you came up to me, okay, tried it. Because how I am in the morning,
your phone. I'd be like, yeah, go on then. Why not? Let's have a look. Oh my god! I'd make a fuss in the middle of the train, just absolutely embarrass you. Just for fun.
I already don't want to be like commuting that time in the morning, and I'm just there. Cause I like to be in my own world in the morning. I like to get in the zone.
Do you have
I've
anyone
got my
be rude?
headphones on. I got my headphones on, and then somebody guys come, try this game, and I'm like, I'm a polite guy, so I'll probably
He just described himself as a polite guy right there, didn't he? What a dick.
Yeah, I probably would do it. I probably would do it, but I'd be like, I really don't want to do it. And if I saw you again the next time, I'm like,
yeah, exactly. Everyone's avoiding you like the tramp that comes along and says, I'm ever so sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, fuck off.
That carriage, very quickly became empty. No, people.
This little old lady can't quite get to the door fast enough.
But you know what, though?
You.
know what, though? It makes it like a terrific story, though. Like,
no, and I think when you've exhausted all your friends and family, and you need real
Fresh blood.
Yeah, right. Fresh blood.
I think that's just to touch on that with your friends and family. You always have a suspicion that they're just being kind.
Of course.
So like when you go to people who don't know you from nowhere, you're struggling to open that.
Could you mind?
That don't know you from.
Got a sprained thumb. That's all. Well, it's not sprained.
It's actually quite difficult to open.
This would be the best part of the thing. I bet this gets all the likes. All right, now you know what? Fuck it, you're fired. Hand it over.
Can I?
Come on, you have to go. Come on. All right. All right. This would be like the best. This is like a 5-minute break, by the way, lads.
Oh, this is really hard.
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it? It's like gonna be like a 5-minute video of us, and this is the only bit that's gonna get any traction. Oh, look at that! He's using his ingenuity. That's creative. That is. All right. I don't want it anymore. Oh no, you got the little bit inside. All right, now, you know what? All right, yeah, we got cranberry juice. Hey, love it. All right, teamwork, lads. Thank you very much. Who wants some? Do you want some?
I'm good for now.
You guys loosened it up for me.
Yeah, exactly.
I got my aloe vera.
in this
Yeah.
plastic. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to distract from the point. You all right, Jack? Yeah. All right, cool. All right, yeah, we'll crack on. So Stack Overflow. Oh yeah. I wanted to ask you. So moving away from that, like, how do you feel about the whole advertising thing? Like, because I mean, like, you know how like you go on an app these days, and all of a sudden there's an advert pop up. I've got one about a to-do list, and it just comes up with adverts every 5 minutes, and it's like, oh fuck off.
Yeah.
Do you find that is that put on your game without your sort? Do you have any say in that? Or
Yeah, 100%. So it boils down to there's 3 ways to get paid within mobile development. So number one is you have a app that is supported by ads. So like the ones normally they're free, and then they're ad supported. And then the second one is a subscription based model. So you pay like many music apps, you pay a monthly subscription, and then you get access to all content. Or the third one is just a paid app. And then within that, you have in-app purchases. So the app that you're talking about, described that's really annoying, is a free app, but with video advertisements or banner advertisements. And so the more people that watch that, engage with that, the publisher will get a cut of the profits of that. Really annoying, but it lowers the bar of entry, because when you stick a price tag on an app, immediately
you're losing most people.
You lose a lot of people, because it's like, how do I know this app is worth £3, £4?
I tend to only pay for the apps like maybe like a Rockstar app like GTA or something. Like something I can trust.
I've been paying.
If it comes to like a normal app, I probably wouldn't pay.
Yeah.
Especially if you don't know what.
So what is your app?
So all of my apps are free, and I think they will continue to always be free. So the way that I chose to monetize my app is probably the least egregious way. So especially for an app like One Chance, a game that you can only play once, you know, the capacity to make money is very limited, because you've only got someone engaged.
You've got one chance to get that money.
Exactly. So you've got one chance to make that money. So what I chose to do is to go down a tip jar. So if people enjoy the game, they can tip, you know, a quid or
How
a
much
dollar
do you
or
get for
whatever.
that? Roughly. Sorry, don't let me ask.
No, it's quite right. What I've been surprised, it kind of fluctuates, but what I've been really surprised with is that people enjoy it and they'll tip, you know. So I've had people tip 10 quid.
That's decent.
$10, you know. I've had loads of people tip the smaller amounts, but for a game that you can only play once, someone's had enough enjoyment to tip that, I think always kind of blows me away. So it's really, really cool. And like for me, app development is about the enjoyment. Like there are costs to pay, like you have to pay for a developer license, you have to pay for a computer. Yeah.
Why do you have to pay to do it? I mean,
how much does the developer license set you back then?
Because you're the cash cow in all of this. Because if you don't provide that, you create the product and they're charging you to create that product.
Yeah, so
that's fucking retarded.
So the developer license is on. So every single platform you have to pay a fee, and that fee covers hosting your application. So like the CDN costs. The payment costs, so all the payments go through a particular provider. So whether that's, you know, Apple or Google, they process all the payments, so they get some kickback from that. So that is what your developer license goes towards. So that is paid either yearly, or you can pay like a fee for a lifetime. So the Apple developer license is £70.
Wait, so you have to pay different developer license
for different platforms.
So 70 quid, so that's $100.
$100 a year.
Fuck.
And the Google Play Store is £20 for a lifetime.
I guess it's one.
Well, yeah, no wonder everyone's going for Google then.
So it's £20 for a lifetime.
Oh, that's quite good. But I guess it's one of those things, like if you're not really that serious about it, you're not just gonna jump in and put an app out.
Yeah, but you would though if you thought you had a decent app and then you just kind of like lost interest.
Yeah, but I mean, if it costs you 70 quid, you're not just gonna just.
Oh no, you're not gonna fuck
upload
around
that. Just in case.
But you can just so everyone is aware, for both Google and Apple, and I believe Windows as well, 100% on Windows, you can develop apps, test apps for free. So it's only when you want to actually publish it. So if you just want to mess around, you don't have to pay. It's completely free.
It's a sandbox, and then once you get out the sandbox, you can get into, you know, like into the playground, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. So if you if you think, oh, do you know what, this app idea has got legs, then you can pay for a developer license to get it onto the App Store.
So people can already kind of play with it in the beta, in the sandbox, and you get other developers having a laugh with it and whatever. Do you not worry that your idea is going to get nicked in that environment?
I think for me, imitation is the greatest form of flattery. If I saw two chants,
if they made a lot of money from it, you're like, motherfucker.
I wouldn't be bitter. I think I'd be humbled. I'd be taken aback.
humbled. They're making £1 million. You're like, oh, it's okay,
So,
mate.
If
I'm
I
happy
stole
you
your
had
app idea and
Yeah.
I became a billionaire,
In journalism,
how
we call it
humbled would you
stealing,
be?
and it's what we all do. But it's not the point.
How humbled would you be if I stole your app and became like
I
a
get
billionaire?
pissed off when someone else takes my bylines.
I'll be extremely humbled.
That's good to know.
Dude,
Anybody
you would not
out
want
there?
to put that in the public.
Anybody out there
Jesus.
listening?
So if you want to nick anything off somebody who's actually happy to have shit stolen from them,
No,
Taiwo here is an Why would you?
I think one of the things with me as a developer, I always try and make stuff that other people are not gonna that people might not necessarily want to make. So, for example, I think a lot of people that get into development, they'll try to make like a social media app or a task manager app or a camera app. And I think for me, why not make an app that asks users one simple question, or why not make an app that you can only play once, or why not make an app where collectively as a community we work together for an objective, just things that you might on paper think, oh, that's a bit different.
Isn't like that sort of what's it called, where you when you say as a community, you mean as in the developer community? Or?
No. So I made an application called Cube Sprint, and there's 2 game modes on it, and it's you control a cube and you have to collect other cubes. It was part of my series where I built 5 games in 5 days. So I built 5 games in 5 days, and then on Twitter
But they're all like the same game, but with different colours.
Basically, they were all very, very, very.
You
simple,
at the end of it, like fuck everyone.
very, very, very simple 2D games, and I went on Twitter and said to the followers, "What game do you like the best?" And the public spoke, and Cube Sprint won. And Cube Sprint is just a really simple game where you're collecting other cubes, avoiding obstacles. But every time you collect a cube, it goes to a global pot, and once that global pot hits 1 million, a secret mode is unlocked. But it's one of those games where there are some people that play it all the time, but that feat of getting to 1 million, so it could be 200,000 in North America, 100k in Africa, 37k in South America, 500,000 in Europe, all of like this collection of people working together to get this secret mode. But the secret mode has not been unlocked. The game's been out for a couple of years.
And you're shitting it as it gets to 900,000 mark. You're like, oh, fuck, I've got to come up with something clever.
It's getting closer and closer and closer. But the mode is in there. It's a very secret mode. But will we ever see
hints?
it? No.
Is it everything gold?
The only hint I can give you is collect cubes, and you'll find out.
I feel like he's advertising through us now, right? I feel manipulated. Wait, okay, give us a hint.
It's definitely worthwhile. I think so. It kind of turns the application on its head, and I really enjoyed building it.
If it's upside down mode, you're going to lose a lot of people.
Yeah, you just have to turn your phone upside down.
Yeah.
Because I built it.
I'm an idiot.
I built it quite a few years ago. There's bits of it that I just can't remember, that I would have to look back on the code. So I think if I was to wake up tomorrow and 1 million cubes had been collected, it'll be quite a nice little thing for me to reminisce about something that I built a couple of years ago.
That's really sweet, actually.
Yeah.
I like that. And it's like, but where do people collect? I haven't played the game, so I don't really know. But how do people play the game?
Yeah, so it's just like they just play it generally. So you're just.
Is it like random cubes in the environment? Is it like one of those? Is it a bit like Pokemon Go, or is it?
No. So it's like a very linear environment, and so if you can imagine a cube that's trying to get to the top of the screen, but things are procedurally being generated, and you have to avoid it. So things are being created off screen that come at you, and you have to avoid it. But as you avoid these obstacles, there's also cubes that you can collect. And there's little tiny Easter eggs. Yeah, super simple. It's kind of like a hark back to the game console of the 70s and the early 80s. So it's completely black and white. Because
all games have kind of got like that sort of Nintendo feel to it.
Yeah.
You were talking about Nintendo before, and I was like, you've clearly got kind of an inspirational sort of feel from Nintendo, because they have that very particular kind of
definitely
like collecting kind of thing.
Yeah.
But what about sort of not to pull from? I mean, so because you're collecting stuff a bit like. I like this. This is like old school, proper old school games.
Yeah.
It's like it reminds me of the ones we used to play on PlayStation 1 as well. So in terms of the sophistication of your games, like, and I think we've probably discussed this before, but like, how far as a developer do you feel that you want to go with it? Like, do you feel like you're kind of happy with this kind of level of games, or do you want to kind of like look into sort of creating more sophisticated things like, I don't know, like the major blockbuster games that we see? Is that something you would think about as a career option, or is it something that, you know, because you're enjoying being a developer now, you know, like where was I going with this? Fuck. You kind of get where I'm going.
Yeah,
with this, right?
no, 100%. I think it would be amazing to pull out a kind of AAA title, so games that maybe Nintendo or Sony or Rockstar, Ubisoft, you know, really big game studios would put out. I think the biggest issue is I'm kind of like a one-man band, so doing the sound, the controls, the graphics, the concept, the storyline, the whole kind of end-to-end piece, so from concept to finished product that you can download and enjoy. It's really difficult to create these really big worlds because it's just the lack of resource. You know, in these big studios you might have one person who is specializing and works solely on foliage, you know, grass, like the textures of grass, so you know you can't really expect you know, a AAA game to be made by one person. But there are a few examples. I think Stardew Valley is a great example of a, you know, hugely successful, fantastic game made by one person. And another game
I bet they were exhausted.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I lost my wife for this.
Exactly.
My kids don't talk to me no more.
You know, so there are examples of like huge games that are made by you know, independent single developers, but they normally take a number of years and are 100% a full-time commitment. So that
sounds quite a lot.
Yeah, it would definitely be a gamble.
An obsession as well.
Yeah, no, definitely a gamble, and you would have to be all in. And then, you know, you could get to the end of the line and it might not be profitable. So you really have to do it because you enjoy it. I mean, I would love to get involved in a big production, but I think at the moment I'm very comfortable and enjoying the kind of indie scene.
Yeah. How many people? So you mentioned before you have followers. Like, how many followers do you have at the moment?
So
and has Black History Month, the article there, has that helped? Have you seen a boost from that?
Yeah, definitely. I think
I mean, that's
in terms
a question, I think, but yeah, like, you know, like, yeah, go on.
In terms of numbers, I really don't know. I rarely post on social media. I think I only really post when I think it's going to be beneficial. So when I'm talking about app updates, or if people have idea, like if I have a concept and I just want a sounding board, I think it's really great for that. But I think it's a very careful balance, and it's just something that I'm learning as well.
Was there a spike in your app download once the article came out?
Yeah, 100%. I think there was definitely, to be honest, I think one chance is in the hundreds of thousands of downloads, which is like
fucking cool.
Which is just,
is that your most successful app?
Yeah, hundreds of thousands, if not, you know, in the 7 digits mark, you know, which is
pretty cool.
Yeah, which, you know, in my head, just thinking of how many iPads and iPhones and devices have played that.
That's crazy as well, because that's just on the Apple App Store.
Exactly.
Yeah, I couldn't find this thing.
So it's, you know, it's not encapsulating the whole of the market. Yeah. So it's mind-boggling, and I think
millions
the response that I've got from people have emailed me and sent me messages and left reviews that have been really positive.
Oh, sweet.
And yeah, it kind of just is like I built this and this is really cool. But I think the exposure and the article from Apple, not only was it really well written, but it really kind of highlighted my journey and what I'm really trying to get out from app development and game creation, that more people should get involved. Right. People shouldn't really feel like it's something that only X person can do, or I'm from this background so I shouldn't be able to do it, or, you know, I'm female and I'm black and I don't see any female black developers, you know, this isn't something that I can do. I think it should be inclusive, and when I've worked with children and kids with in going into schools and talking about app development, they have the most incredible ideas. And I think when they know that this is something that I can do, you know, it really kind of changed the landscape. And I think, I think, you know, the exposure from that point of view, if I've inspired one developer to get into app development or a future app developer, then, you know, my job is done, really, because, you know, I got into it because I love it and I enjoy it. And, you know, my parents, although skeptical, really encouraged that and, you know, could see that I really enjoyed it. But I know not everyone's in that situation. So all the exposure, all the kind of things to kind of get this more out in the open that you can do it is great. Yeah.
That's brilliant. So what are you developing now? Sorry, let me jump in.
No, go ahead.
Top secret. No, so...
Right, how many things? Let's start with the how many. Let's go like that. Yeah.
Breaking news, people.
Breaking news. Yeah, it's like, you heard it here first. We'll have to point at 30. Now, spill, otherwise we won't let you outside.
Okay.
Marlon, get it.
That is a really, really good question. What am I working on at the moment? So at the moment, I'm working on 6 translations for One Chance.
Cool.
If there's emails,
It's numbers, so you should be fine.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It should be really
It'll take
quick.
you weeks, mate.
It's taken me a long time.
Like Chinese numbers, they're a nightmare.
So that's kind of like the first thing that I'm working on, and I'm trying to update all of my older apps so they all kind of work with the newer phones and stuff like that, and porting stuff onto Android as well. I think that's a really exciting thing to do. But in terms of brand new IPs, I've got a couple of ideas in my head that are kind of swirling around.
So what are they?
So what's an IP?
Intellectual property. So
that's
like I guess Spacebots and yeah, cool.
Sorry,
Thank you very much. Probably another app that is not a game. So I've made one app that's not a game, and that is Who Am I? And I think I really enjoyed that.
That's technically not a game.
Yeah, it's not a game.
I downloaded it like a year ago. I can't remember how it goes though. Like
It's quite topical.
I tried to use it again this week, but I forget to sign up again.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do that right now. But I tried it last year.
When did you make that one?
So I made that in 2018.
Were you having like some sort of existential crisis, or?
Yeah. So I no. I think
personal there.
No. I think
I think that's important. Like, give a breakdown what the non-gaming app is. What is it?
Yeah. So Who Am I is an app where you download it and you answer a couple of questions. So you answer the question what your name is, where you're from, how old you are, and then the most important thing is who are you. So it's a very philosophical app, and one of the things that I really like about it is there is no kind of like email sign up. So in terms of like personal information and your name and your surname and where you live and your age, you know, you can put your real address, but there's no way of actually contacting you. So there's no messaging, there's no likes, there's no reposts, there's nothing like that. So it's not like your traditional social media. And I was trying to encapsulate like an actual gallery. So going to the National Portrait Gallery and seeing amazing artwork. And then, you know, you might talk to a friend about it. Oh, I saw this amazing piece by Monet and it was really beautiful. And then that's where it kind of ends. You don't need to
write the name up there, people can Google you.
Yeah. But then that's something that I guess someone's doing on their own fruition. And, you know, maybe someone's put a fake name, they put a fake picture or whatever. And I think what I was trying to do, or what I am trying to do, is really kind of mix technology and contemporary art together. And the year after the app was made, so in 2019, I actually had a exhibition so people could go into a physical space in London, on Old Kent Road actually, and view portraits of people that have used the app. And every single day, it was a week long, every single day the portraits will change. So there was like 50 portraits, and then every day those portraits will change, and people could use the app there, and then the next day would see themselves. So it was this constantly evolving, changing thing. But in terms of like monetization for this app, it doesn't make any money, and it's a purely like conceptual, just an idea that I had, and I thought, you know, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
So, sorry.
And
Go on.
yeah,
No, go on.
I was just going to say that, thousands of people have used it from over 50 different countries. So even seeing what someone who's 61 from Iran has to say against someone who is 23 who was born and raised in Lagos in Nigeria versus someone from Colombia versus someone from LA versus someone from Sydney or Tokyo or Busan. So it's been really interesting to just see from an international level what people have said. And in terms of engagement, people download the app and they'll scroll through the gallery and spend 5 to 10 minutes just reading what people have said.
What kind of things do people say that kind of stand out to you the most? I mean, by the way, just because I've not actually used it myself, and I'm assuming quite a few listeners haven't, and they're probably sitting there frantically trying to find it on their Androids, which you're an idiot who didn't put it on Android. And now I'm annoyed because I want to play this.
Get an iPhone. Like.
No, because I can't.
Don't mug yourself off and get an Android. You won't get to use all these apps. That's your fault.
Mate, we're not publishing on fucking iPad just to get the numbers.
I'm Team Apple.
Anyway, let's not split the room.
Your Android fault.
All right, sorry. No, enough.
Tara, I'm on your side.
Guys, I mean, I can definitely punch both people from here. Okay, so anyway, what I'm trying to say is, with Who Am I? Just to explain the premise, it's like, is it just basically you create a profile and say about yourself, or tell random stories or whatever? Yeah. And then do you find, what's the ones that really stand out for you?
Yeah, I think where people talk about, it's really interesting because it's like, what defines you? Is it what you do? Is it the fact that you're a father? Is it the fact that you're a husband? Is it the fact that you're a survivor from X traumatic experience? Or is it just the fact that you're on a constant journey trying to find yourself? Or simply you don't know? And I think all of them really make me, just really think about different life experiences. But the things that really kind of stand out to me is when people are just vulnerable. People actually just say how they feel. And I guess it's because people feel like they can. I mean, it's not a hugely popular app. It's not like putting your life story on Facebook and people can repost it and say, oh, look at this person, or comment on it or anything like that. The premise is very clear. And I think that the fact that no one has downloaded it and trolled on it and made something really silly on it kind of just shows the how genuine the app is, and kind of sets it apart from all the other social media apps.
Yeah, I think that's really nice. It's
Okay.
So go on, yeah.
I just wanted to go into like, how did the Apple article come about, and first of all, how did it come about, and
a Black History Month element. I'd quite like to know about that as well.
And also, what was your feeling like? Do you think it was a troll? What did you feel like? And
I mean, to be honest, I felt kind of blown away as someone who's been making apps for 8 years plus to get the recognition, for this huge company, a company that I admire in so many different ways.
We've got to stop kissing Apple's arse here.
I love you, Apple.
Their products are really, really intuitive. To reach out and say, hey, we've kind of noticed what you've done. We like your stuff. Would you be interested in being part of this? It's incredible. Like, for me as a Black developer, I think one of the things that I've always been really aware of is being the only Black person in the room. And I've been to events, I've been to different places, and people have asked me what I do. And, sometimes it says software engineer, and people are taken aback because it's like probably the last thing. Yeah, exactly. It's probably the last thing, they would think that I would do. So, that needs to change. And I think being approached to do an article for Black History Month, not every company has to do anything about it. It's not lip service. The fact that you're on a app store that hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people will see is pretty big. And people reading your story and feeling inspired and saying, wait a second, this is something that I want to get into. I'm gonna look into making apps or making games is incredible. And I think I felt like a whole mixture of emotions. I feel really good, but also this is just the beginning. You know, I really do think that it really is just the beginning.
Was it like a phone call or like an email? How did you get in contact?
So it was an email. It was an email, and then just a phone conversation, just talking about my history within applications, and you know, they've seen what I've done. They've play tested it. They've played it.
It's quite flattering as well.
Yeah, no, definitely 100% flattering, and I just couldn't really believe it.
You're like, oh my god, I should stop writing stuff in this.
Was it just you? Was it just you they contacted for Black History Month, or was it just a bunch of other people?
Yeah,
as well?
yeah. There's some really really cool, inspiring people. So, me personally, even before Apple reached out, I've been doing a lot of research into other Black British developers, and that seems to be quite a niche area. There's quite a few in the States, and I've reached out to other developers.
What kind of population we're talking? We're talking like sort of 5,000 Black developers in the UK? Or?
No, it's really hard to tell. Like I wouldn't know, but every company that I've you know, kind of engaged with in terms of like diversity and inclusion, it's always been really, really difficult. And that's a conversation, that's a huge conversation, you know, that is, you know, very it's very complicated, but I think it's something that's changing every single day. And I think through my research, I was like, you know, there's not a lot. And through the Apple Black History Month that is currently running throughout the whole of October, but even before this, I've been able to see some incredible work from other developers and other initiatives and organizations. Like, I was playing a game built by a mother-daughter duo, and it's like a game where all the characters are Black women, and cool. it was great. Like, you know, how many game characters are Black females? Like, not a lot. So this representation of like people and being highlighted by, you know, $1 trillion company is really important, because they set the precedent and other companies follow. And it's like one small step, but you know, it compounds and gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
That's quite cool.
That's good.
Is there anything you wanted to add?
So when this all happened, like what was your family's reaction?
Ooh.
Yeah, I didn't think of that one. High five.
What was my family's reaction?
I can imagine.
Yeah,
it's not fair. You've got an edge on this because you know his mum. So there's me just like, yeah, what are they like? Tell me what your mum's like as a person.
I think they were just like, my parents were like extremely proud, and they told the world about, like, you know, everyone in my mum's phone book, you know, like, everyone in my
I can imagine.
Press send all, motherfuckers.
Yeah,
what's your son doing? Oh, he's on the couch, is he? Shame.
Honestly, like they were blown away, and the support from them has been unreal. I think when I told my siblings, they all, I guess.
Did your brother ask for a pay rise?
He wanted more pints, yeah. He was like, you're gonna have to just double everything.
Just walk in with a bottle of whiskey, like, yeah, it's all yours, mate. Go on. You earned it, son. You earned it.
Honestly, it was emotional, because it's like this long journey that you have, and I think that's one of the biggest pieces of advice that I could give to anyone is, you have to be tenacious, you have to be persistent. Like, the sleepless nights, the kind of walking to the shop and thinking, oh, that's how I fixed that bug, and you know, running back to my laptop at 4:00 in the morning to fix the bug.
At 4 a.m?
I know. I just get hungry when you're
Deliveroo, man. It's an app. Ironically, you should probably have known about it.
But this is back in 2012, before Deliveroo.
The before times.
So then, would you say this is like a 9-year journey you was on? 10 years?
I genuinely believe this was a journey ever since I played the Nintendo Entertainment System when I was about 4 years old. So it's been an extremely...
I remember talking to you as a kid, and he's always like talking about your like different Nintendo games. I think you had more consoles than me. I only had like PlayStation and Xbox. I had like PS1 and I had PS2 then Xbox. Now, yeah, I remember you always telling me about all these Nintendo games.
Yeah.
I never had a Nintendo in my life, so yeah, it was very interesting.
Yeah, no, my video game collection is a little bit out of control, to be honest, because
How many you got?
I have on the Nintendo side, I have a NES, a Super Nintendo, a N64. I've got maybe 4 N64s. I've got about
4?
3
What do you need 4
GameCubes.
for?
Just because.
Well, in case one breaks, like reload.
Yeah, just in case one breaks, you've always got a backup.
They've kept their value as well. I see them.
Yeah, no,
they're done good.
The retro game market is insane, and the same with the PlayStation. PS1, PS2, PS3, PS4, and all the portables, so PSP, PS Vita, and then the same with the Xbox consoles. But even
You've got like one of everyone. How much room in your house does that take?
It takes up
So
a large amount.
I got a random question for you. Not really random, but I mean, if you had to throw out all your game console and keep one, what would you keep?
Here we go.
Oh, this is. Oof.
I mean,
Like destroyed. It has to be destroyed. Never get them again.
would you keep one of your own just because you're so proud of it? Just be like, it's like, no, it's mine. It's my baby.
It really put me on the spot. I would have to say,
Quick, man, I'll get him.
the GameCube. I think I would keep the GameCube and bin the rest.
What the fuck?
Yeah, the GameCube.
You're gonna bin a PS5 over a GameCube?
Oh, the GameCube was just fun.
Was it that good?
Oh, the GameCube was great.
Shit.
Super Mario
I'm
Sunshine.
gonna get told off.
Smash Bros. Melee. You had some absolute gems on the GameCube. So yeah, I think I'd have to keep the GameCube. N64 probably in a close second.
No seconds. They're destroyed.
Yeah. Although to be fair, that controller's horrible. Yeah. Like it's sitting there, it's like triple one, and every time you get excited, you go boom, and stab yourself in the side. Like 3 hours and just go.
The Trident fork controller.
Why? Why did they
If
do
your brother
that?
throws it at you,
mini
just boomerang.
That's unusable.
Yeah, unusable. It's like sit there. It's like carpal tunnel syndrome at the age of 12. This is bullshit.
Honestly, such a great console. Such a great console. So many good memories.
Yeah, it is true. Actually, I do miss those things. I've played Spyro again recently.
Oh, the remastered ones.
Yeah, but like my brother sent me Crash Bandicoot, but I got so pissed off with it.
Crash Bandicoot is my favorite game of all time.
It was so difficult. Yeah. It's honestly so hard.
I did like 2 levels. I was, fuck this.
Honestly, that game. I
love Crash Bandicoot.
I couldn't do it. When we were kids, we paid for like.
Yeah, right. And now you just get frustrated. You can't be the first one. You just throw the controller. You're like,
I'm like, fuck this. I'm gonna go write an essay.
They released Crash Bandicoot the app now, but it's like sort of like the temple run format.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't like it. Just release the game. I want the game.
Yeah, I wish they would.
The same thing with Sonic as well. They released it's alright, but just release the game.
Yeah.
How do you feel about DLCs, by the way, as a developer? Like?
Yeah. I think quite conflicted. Me personally, like I'm very selective of games that I will engage with in terms of downloadable content, because in my point of view, a game should be feature complete when it's released, and like you get patches down the line, there's bugs you fix, but to get stuff behind walled content to pay to get X levels, I think that's a little bit cheeky. I mean, every developer's got they have to make money. They got to make money. So I understand. And if the quality is great, like if you buy a game and you really enjoy it and they release some DLC that adds so much value to the game and it's a reasonable price, I'm all for it. But to have an incomplete game and then have users paid to unlock for a full game experience, I think that's really, really cheeky.
So for those who don't know, what is that?
Downloadable content. Sorry, I'll let you explain.
So downloadable content, or within apps, you might see it as in-app purchases. So when you pay with real money to get game items or game content.
So you can't go further with the game without paying more money.
Exactly.
Or it
start off free and then
exactly.
Then the cost starts to build up.
There's been stories where like kids have accidentally spent 20 grand or something.
Or it's like in-app purchases.
Exactly. In-app purchases. It's called that type of game model is called freemium. So it's free to play, but then you have to pay for downloadable content, in-app purchases to get X amount of gems to allow you to play the game more often. So they kind of, I don't know, because some people might see it as predatory because it's free, you get addicted to it, and then to keep that addiction, you need to start paying. So I think it's a balance.
What's that game? What's it called again?
Candy Crush.
Candy Crush. That's it. Is it that what they do?
Candy Crush, I think they've really nailed it in terms of like, you know, you can only admire what they've done, because it's probably like the number one game that I see people play on public transport, and it's always the people that you least expect would be playing a game like that. They're playing Candy Crush. So what they've managed to do, very, very impressive, to kind of get the casual market into playing games. And it's the kind of market where if you said to them, you know, you've been playing a game, you've been playing it for hundreds of hours, they'll be like, no, I'm not playing games.
Yeah,
games
look at the stats. Fuck!
You know, exactly. Games is
my
what,
kids.
you know, my kids play on, you know, on the Xbox and on the headset, and, you know, they're shouting. Candy Crush, oh, that's not a game, that's just like a puzzle thing, brain teaser. It's like, no, actually it's a game, and you spent hundreds of pounds over the last 5 years playing it. So yeah, I mean, what they've done is really, really quite something. So yeah, there's a lot with apps. There's a lot, but I think if you have a good idea and you run with it, and kind of against what people say, what people might think, if you know you've got a good idea, enjoy the process. You've honestly got nothing to lose, because at the end of the day, you've built something. No one can take that away from you, and it's like a piece of artwork. Like Spacebots is now on version 1.5, 1.6. So I had version 1, but I've iterated, gotten feedback. Oh, I don't think this is really good. On my iPad is fuzzy or whatever. You get this feedback and you make it better.
Right.
So it's this constantly evolving piece of work. Okay. So I think people get hung up on creating the perfect app. Version 1. Instagram, for example, when it first launched, it only had a couple of filters. There was no messaging, there was no video, there was no live, there was no shopping. But it's become this thing, you know?
Yeah, it evolved.
Yeah, it evolved. So, you know, I think people just always are apprehensive because they want this perfect piece of software. But it shouldn't be like that. Just have fun.
Yeah, it's like a kid. It's got to grow before it becomes an adult. In fact, it's like, 100%. You know, it's like your journey as well. You've got to like grow.
100%.
Well, I wanted to ask you, you know, like with Apple, with the new iOS, every time they release one every year, how does that work with your app? Does that mean now you have to go away and like update it, otherwise it won't be compatible with the new update?
Exactly.
That fucks you right off.
I think with Apple, they make it really easy. So and the same with Android, they'll release a beta version for developers, so iOS 15 has just released last month. So in springtime, they would give developers access to iOS 15 so they can try out all the new cool features and build their app. So when iOS 15 launches, their apps get updated, so anyone with the latest iOS can unlock all the new features, and they do that every single year. But I think it's good because it keeps you on your toes. You can't just make an app and just leave it on the App Store. You have to constantly think of ideas, get feedback, iterate, and ultimately just make better apps.
So how much time do you spend per week doing this kind of stuff? Like, I mean, obviously you've got your full-time job, but how much time do you work on the apps?
Yeah, I think maybe a couple of hours a week. I go through emails and correspondence, whether on social media or just email from users, and take that feedback. Like, I read every single email, I take every single piece of feedback, critical, positive, back, and just try and create the best piece of software and the best experience for the user, especially for one chance, because one chance, you only have one chance to play it. So I want to make sure that one chance that the user plays it is a really, really good experience.
Okay, and
Sorry, just to touch on that one chance. Is that the reason why? Like, I remember when I first played One Chance, and there was like a bunch of different stuff to go. And now there's only just math. Yeah. Is that the reason why that is?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even read. I thought I was like,
it said 14 games on it. You need to change that.
Yeah.
Like, it says 14 games. I was like, I've been betrayed.
So
I was like, look,
so the reason why
you find the rest of it.
Yeah. So the reason why there was only math stuff on it is because I tried it before.
Oh, what?
And I flopped, and then.
Wait. So you fucked up all 13 other games and left me to do the maths one?
Yeah.
You're a dick. Wait, what? I'm hungover. It's not fair.
So that's what happened.
So with one, but that's a great. That's
Still wanna play it,
a
like.
great like little story, because One Chance, it was 14 games and then that was it. But some of the feedback that I got from people was that they wanted to play some of these games over and over. So
Yeah.
I included a unlimited version of the maths game,
Right.
the anagram game, and also
Those are really satisfying. Those ones.
Yes.
Word searches and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So you have like jumbled up word, and not only does it kind of get your brain ticking in the morning, you know, when you're having a coffee or something like that, you can also play it as much as you want. So, and people really enjoy it. And I think for the word game, the high score, someone managed to solve, 600 anagrams in, an hour. And
Wait, what? That's one every 10 seconds.
yeah. So and there is a timer. So
think.
there is a timer for 30 seconds for each word. So yeah, like One Chance, getting that feedback, listening to users, and then trying to make it even better is just something that I always try and do as well.
Okay, good. All right, cool. All right. Well, I don't know about you, Marlon, but I've run out of questions. I'm tired. I've got to go soon anyway, because the missus is going to start asking questions. Can you pass my phone, actually? I just need to check.
We're not made the thing.
Ah, bollocks. All right, well, let's get off. Why is my life so hard? Is it because of my own choices? I want to know, last one, because I mean, like, everyone loves a crazy. What's been the weirdest email you've received from the public?
Oh, it's probably the weirdest email that I've
The one that made you being like, should I stay awake for this?
Yeah.
Like,
I think it was someone who got in touch about One Chance, and they said that they were going to be brief in the email, and ended up sending like a 2-page email talking about how they enjoyed the app, but how the game should be translated into German. But just went on a bit of a rant. But at the end was like,
did they start translating it for you in German?
No. And the person was, composed the email in great English, said, I'm going to be brief, but wasn't brief. And then at the end said, thank you for making the game. Enjoy the rest of your week. I was very puzzled, because it was just really weird.
Yeah, what's the long version? You should have emailed back and asked them. Can I have the more in-depth version?
Yeah, I really should have. A
few more details, please, sir.
I did reply and say, I just thanked him for taking the time, because it was a very comprehensive, very detailed email. So that's the weirdest
sweet,
correspondence that I've gotten. Yeah.
Because in news, I just got told that I was a liar, and I was like, why would I lie about the council? Oh, it's a pond, mate. It's a pond.
The thing though, like,
lies.
When you do stuff like creative like this, you do touch people, because like obviously
Let's not flatter ourselves, mate. I mean, we've basically had like 2 people. We got added by an actor recently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but
Fucking yeah, man. We're making it big soon.
You say that, but we've got like thousands of downloads, thousands of views. So like,
Yeah.
we're not like we're doing something. But,
Yeah, come on.
but I was referring
It's
to
not something
like other stuff I do, like my cooking channel. People reach out to you all the time and be like, "Oh, you really helped me do this, and you really helped me do that."
Your first one was a grilled cheese. How to make grilled cheese, keto grilled cheese, and it was my favourite thing I've ever watched. It's like so beautifully cringy, and that is keto cheese.
But the things though, you do that.
First, you grate the cheese. There you have keto cheese. A la Marlon.
But the thing though, you do little
Punch.
things like that, and then you put it out on the internet. And people, you touch people somehow.
Yeah.
Like,
No.
And to you, it might be just something small, but to them, it's like you actually help them figure out how to do something. Like for me, obviously, it's a cooking channel. I help them figure out how to make a meal.
Yeah.
So it's like, you never know. Like.
No, I think
That shit.
I think you're completely right, and this podcast, is testament to that fact as well. I think when people listen to it and they're inspired and they get enjoyment from it, it sets them up for the day. And you might not know it, because you might have hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, 100,000, millions of listeners, and a lot of people they
imagine?
they absorb what you say and they just carry on with their life, and they don't they don't reach out to you, just like you go into a shop and you buy something and you don't go to the company that sold it to you and say thank you for selling me this lemon. But the impact is huge. And I think what you both are doing is great, and thank you so much for invite me to the podcast.
I'm glad that you came. I'm glad that you
Yeah, otherwise
No,
it would have been
no.
us two talking about God knows
No,
what.
no, and I'm you know, I'm just really excited for the future. Because sorry to kind of go off on a tangent,
But it's called off point for a reason.
It's just really genuine, and I think there's so much that is scripted, and so much that is by the book, and I think this is just really kind of genuine. How you feel, let's just have a conversation about stuff. Let's just have an open conversation and talk about stuff. That's really important. So you both are doing an amazing job. Thank you.
Thank you. No, not at all, mate. I mean, it's a pleasure to have you here. Okay,
before you get out,
I'm gonna wrap it up. Okay.
I just want to.
Marlon, she's waiting at a station.
I just wanted to before you get out. I just wanted to check.
Fuck, man.
Just wanted to ask you, what's a couple of pieces of advice you would give to anybody that wants to get into coding? First of all, somebody that might be wanting for a career change or just a little kid.
Yeah, no, I think the first piece of advice that I would give to someone is to get stuck in. The internet is an incredible resource, and just see if you like it, see if you enjoy it. I don't doubt that you won't, but just give it a try. There's loads of free tutorials online that you can download and test. As long as you've got the internet, you can learn anything. You want to make a cube move from the left side of the screen to the right side while gradually going from pink to yellow in the process, you can learn how to do that.
How long does it take to program that quickly?
Probably about 10 seconds.
Really?
Yeah.
I just thought it'd take hours.
Oh no. I mean, if you're just starting out, probably hours, but I can tell you now it'll be the best couple of hours because you start from nothing and then you've got something and you just want to show everyone this is what I can do. So best piece of advice is get stuck in. Second piece of advice, something that I should have learnt to do way sooner, is don't be afraid to ask questions. And there's no such thing as a silly question. There isn't. Honestly, don't be afraid. And people are really nice. If you reach out to someone that you like their stuff, a developer, reach out, send them an email. People like myself love to talk about themselves. So if you reach out to someone and say, hey, I've got this idea or whatever, people are highly receptive. It might take them a couple of days, if not weeks, to get back to you, but 9 times out of 10, people are. Yeah, it's a great community. Fantastic. I think get stuck in. As a headliner, dive in, get stuck in, and enjoy the process.
Yeah.
Right.
Brilliant. Well, yeah, thank you very much for coming on our
pleasure.
podcast. We really appreciate you coming along.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Should we do the conclusion bit?
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Off Point. Ian, thank you very much for listening. My name's Les Steed.
I'm Marlon White.
And our guest is...
Taiwo Omisore.
Yeah. Well, we'll see you next episode. Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.